Glenn, did you guys put in any claims last week and just aced out?
Say it one more time.
Did you guys put in any claims after the 53?
No, we felt pretty good where we were in terms of our roster. I think this is honestly the first year in a while where we didn't put a claim, didn't get a guy claim. So feel good about where the roster is. I'll just say the last 8 months is kind of the personnel staff's journey, right? Just us trying to put the team in the best position we can. And we feel like we try to exhaust, whether it's claims, trades, all the different avenues available to us to maximize the 53 and the best team we can put together to be ready for, something like we're about to face week 1 in the Cowboys.
When you form that 53, Glenn, how much goes into, you're all 16 guys on the practice squad, and you're only 2 tight ends on the 53, but you can pull somebody up. So how does that factor in?
Yeah, Jeff, I think it's that math problem is what we're trying to solve. Just trying to make sure we put Kevin and the coaching staff in the best position as possible to be ready to go out. Not only week 1, but we're trying to play 22 weeks or however many it is to make it to the end. So that's the calculation we're going through to see, hey, who, in terms of like when we make our decisions, who fits best, both short and long term. And so all that plays into account.
Can you shed some light on kind of what is going on with Jed Wills? I think we all expected that we would see him out here at some point a lot sooner than this.
Yeah, I won't get too much into it, Mary Kay, but he's working to get back, and I think we put faith in our staff to say, hey, when he's ready to go, he'll be ready to go. So we got guys out there getting ready to play Sunday, and if he's available, I'm sure Coach will make a decision on that.
Glenn, Andrew in the past, way back in March, indicated he wanted to keep a place kicker on the practice squad. Why hasn't that happened?
Again, there are probably a couple of things. We set a bunch of goals. There are a couple of them that we maybe haven't accomplished just yet. But kind of as you guys have seen, especially what we went through last year, this thing's a living organism. So it'll continue to evolve. We're continuing to scour the entire landscape of the NFL right now and see what's available. So it's a possibility that we do. But right now, Dustin's a pretty good kicker, and we're happy to have him.
Last week, you guys, you were hoping to get something for one of these quarterbacks. You ended up releasing Tyler Huntley. Is there anything to him going back to the Ravens, considering you guys tweaked the offense and put all this energy into retooling that side?
Yeah, look, I think it's just a part of what we do, right? Like you're constantly adding and removing players from the roster, and sometimes they go to division foes. Sometimes they go to your next opponent or opponent you play in 3 weeks. So, it happens. We're Snoop the best. It's a familiar place for him. And again, you never know. Like he could be back.
2 years ago, the Browns started the season as the youngest team, roster-wise.
You've asked this question a couple times.
Yeah, I know your answer. Now you're almost the oldest, depending on what
yeah.
What do you make of that? Is that good?
I think that's just a part of it, right? Like, I think we try to be intentional about how we build it, but not let one variable play too much into it. So, I think Kevin mentioned that we want really good football players, and we understand, age is a factor, and we try to take that into account. But, I wouldn't say there is a specific thing that sticks out in terms of that number.
Does it reflect a greater sense of urgency to win now?
No, I think you guys should know we're always urgent, just the way we approach it. So I don't think age is a descriptor of that. That's just our approach.
Beyond
You
just
guys
Jed
almost
injury.
experienced, go ahead, Scott, you.
Beyond just the Jed injury, you had other ones during camp at
Yeah.
left tackle. So how hard was that, and do you feel completely comfortable with, I guess, your healthy body?
Well, I think we got a good rep last year, just throughout the season and experiencing injuries just across the roster, but specifically at left tackle. So I feel like we had a pretty good plan in place. James has played a lot of football, a lot of confidence in James. If he needs to play there or whoever coach puts there, I think we have players on our roster that can go out on Sunday and perform.
That was very nearly my question. You guys almost experienced worst case scenario at quarterback and the offensive line last year with injuries. How much did that experience reshape maybe the way you go about this season or protecting the roster?
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to learn from things like that. I think, maybe that's unique to have, 24 guys go on IR. But we definitely took a step back and tried to learn from that experience and make sure, look, you can't prepare for any and every scenario that's going to happen, because inevitably something this year will come up that will be unique. But yeah, we try to learn from it and just tweak our approach here and there and have a good foundation just across the roster.
Do you have a feel for when? Oh, go ahead.
It was 3 straight off seasons where you go out and you bring in a veteran wide receiver. From a front office perspective, when you look at the acquisition of Amari, Jerry, and Elijah, what kind of common traits stood out, whether it was on the field or maybe with, contractually?
No, I appreciate it. Ultimately it's, especially at that position, the skill positions on offense, you want guys that can get open, and I think all 3 of those guys, are pretty talented route runners and understand how to get open in different ways from different positions. So not only do they provide that, but they provide the flexibility to move them around. They both played inside and outside. So, as you guys know, when we go through the season, you may have an injury here or there. So being able to just sort of move the chess pieces around and be flexible and still run your offense as close to 100% as you can is an asset to have, at the least. So I think that's what we have in those 3 guys, and honestly, just throughout the room.
As a South Florida guy, were you able to maybe throw in anything extra to handle?
Say it one more time.
As a South Florida guy, were you able to maybe throw in any extra insight or anything like that on these guys, or no?
No, it wasn't on purpose. As you kind of step back, we're starting to have a number of South Florida guys on the team, but no, it just kind of worked out. Maybe it's just in the water.
Was there any thought at all that perhaps Nick could have made it here for one of these first 4 games of the season, and now that he has to miss these first 4, what is sort of the vibe or the hope or the feeling on when he might return?
Yeah, I think Coach hit it. He's working hard, man. I think we've seen it since Greenbrier. If anyone was pushing to be ready week 1, it's definitely Nick, and I know he's scratching an itch to get out there. So just whenever he's ready, we'll be ready and accepting of him, helping us, put up points on offense. But the staff and coach and the medical group will do us right, and I feel good in that.
A lot of coaches will be, very set in their ways when it comes to the type of personnel. Kevin's first year it was about tight ends and running backs and fullbacks, and now a couple years down the line, there's been a little bit of a shift. Just how much easier does that make it for you guys in the front office when you have a coach that's malleable and willing to be flexible when it comes to personnel?
I think, one, that's a testament to Kevin. I think he understands that you have to grow and you have to evolve, and he definitely still has his foundation. I think you guys will see that, but he's always pushing to make sure he is being his best version of himself. So again, that's a testament to just him as a really, really good coach for our team. And the second thing, it makes our job really easy, right? So you still have to make sure you're providing the adequate resources for him to do what he wants to do. But when you have a little bit more flexibility in terms of, certain archetypes at positions, it opens up sort of your Rolodex and options across, the different acquisition types.
How much you had a preseason to kind of see in a small sample size the new kickoff rule. How much did the data and the analysis of that, impact, what you saw there impact maybe some decisions, maybe at the back half of the roster?
I think we learned a lot about just the play in and of itself, from other leagues, from the preseason. But I think we're still going to learn. I'm sure some teams have kept things hidden and held back before they got into week 1. So we're still learning. I think it's one of those things where it'll be continuous probably throughout the year for the entire league to understand really what the impact of the play is, and maybe, what's the most valuable way to deploy players and sort of execute on that phase. So we'll see. We're still learning, but given what we know now, we feel good, to go out and start to put things forward.
Kevin Stefanski mentioned that we should stay tuned when he was asked about DTR being the number 3 heading into this game. So my question is that, I'm sure some of that is just competitive advantage and not giving anything away at all to the Cowboys. But did DTR actually rise to the level where he can pull that off and throw that out there as a mystery or a possibility?
Stay tuned, No, I would say, look, DTR, he played a couple games last year as a rookie, which is tough for any rookie. And I think, seeing him since May and the development and evolution of his game is that's what you want to see, right? Regardless of right now where he is on the depth chart, the growth that he's made on the football field is we're excited about that, very excited about that, to be honest. So again, you got to stay tuned on the other part with Coach. I don't have that answer.
Over the past couple of years, you guys have kept some undrafted free agents on the roster, and you guys have found some talent in the late rounds because you had to. How has the front office kind of evolved in that regard of finding talent that you can develop and maybe some gems that can get real playing time?
No, that's good. I think it's a testament to the group. Max Paulus is our college director, and Andrew actually kind of put his thumb on us, not in a negative way, but just challenged us to make sure that we were optimizing, all the avenues to get players. I said that earlier, and I think ever since that conversation, D-Bell, Rocket, this year with Cohen, it's tough for those guys to make the roster, and you gotta find players who have the right makeup and grit to claw for those back end spots. So I think it's a testament to just the players themselves as well. Our scouting group identified guys with those qualities, and now they take advantage of the opportunity. And so it helps make our job easier when they do, right? It makes us look better too.
Ryan, his defense, I know Jim Schwartz has used the analogy of adding some change-ups in with their fastball. Like, how confident are you guys? You guys have so many guys coming back, but that this thing is going to have new wrinkles in it and look different, and you guys are going to be able to stay, a step ahead of offenses trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think we got to just stay in step, I think, teams have a lot of film on us from last year, and so I think we understand that, people will come really prepared to attack us in different ways. So Jim and his group worked hard in the offseason to make sure we had answers, and that's the big thing. So just have answers for what we know we're going to see, and so, we feel good about that.
Is this the best 53 since you've been here?
I don't know. I hope so. We feel good about it regardless. It's a really good group. These guys continue to gel really well. I think that's the part that, I'm confident and happy about the most. It's just the team that we have. It's just a really, really, really close-knit team. These guys care about winning. Ultimately that's what it comes down to. So, we feel good about being ready for Sunday and moving forward.
How do the new practice squad rules and even the size affect maybe the bottom of the 53? Do you keep more young guys because you can sign veterans to the practice squad than you might have? I
think it gives you flexibility to kind of do what you need to do, right? And when you can maybe add a few more vets to P squad, but I don't know that that's a 100% driver of it every single time, but it does give us the flexibility to do something like that.
Glenn, how optimistic are you that Mike Hall Jr. will be able to rejoin you guys early on?
Yeah, Mike's working through what he needs to work through, being on the commissioner exempt list, and so he, continue to do that. I probably won't say much more on Mike at the moment.
Glenn, when it comes to you guys restructured.
You can do one more.
You restructured Deshaun last week. When it comes to those restructures and those big contracts, that's sort of built into the idea of we can sign this big contract and reach into it down the road.
Yeah, I think we structure and sort of approach all of those contractual conversations with the idea of giving ourselves flexibility. So I think that's just across the magnitude of the contract. I think that's just built into more of our philosophy.
Which one player that made the 53 surprised you the most?
I don't like that question. I don't like that question. I'm really happy for the hometown guy in Javion. Just being selfish, he's a U guy. But all those young guys, I think just seeing James Thrash push through and develop in the training camp, and Miles Harden, being a 7th round pick, it's really tough to make a team as a 7th round pick. But he's tough, he's competitive, really smart kid. So I just think just across the roster, I can't pick a favorite.
All right,
Appreciate y'all.
Bye.